Okay, now the Eskom COO Jan Oberholzer says South Africa faces another 18 months of regular power cuts. He adds they won't be able to end them until sufficient generating capacity has been added to the grid in order to meet the demand. Well, let's discuss this now with energy analyst Professor Sampson Mamphweli. Prof, good afternoon. Welcome to Today on eNCA. Thank you very much for your time. Just let's start here. 18 months, still about a year and a half, according to Mr. Oberholzer, we'll be dealing with load shedding. How realistic is that?
That's very realistic, Dan, and the viewers. So it's almost the same kind of results that we get when we do the assessment, looking at the current energy planning from the president's plan to the IRP, the integrated resource plan, and also the implementation when you're looking at the new generation capacity that will be coming in. Will be coming in the next 24 months or so. From the bid window 5 that the minister has announced, and also we're expecting some from bid window 6. So in terms of, if you look at new generation capacity that is planned, the 12 to 18 months is very much realistic. I would say 24 months, but the 12 to 18 months is based on the short-term measures that were announced by the president. And those include things such as your demand response, where we're looking at various measures to reduce the demand on the grid. So if you look at those kind of short-term measures, then I agree that between 12 and 18 months, we will still have some form of load shedding. It will reduce a lot after 12 months. And it could disappear in between 18 to 24 months.
How much electricity should be added then to the grid to achieve what you've just explained? Because we keep on being told that the grid needs a base load, and then you need the top-ups in terms of managing demand.
So it's unfortunate that we use the word base load. In South Africa, we don't necessarily have a base load. Our load is variable. But that's a point of discussion for another day. Eskom has determined that they need between 4,000 and 6,000 megawatts for them to be able to provide power continuously. When we look at the numbers and we look at and we analyze the breakdowns from the past 2 to 3 years, one can easily say that they need double that number. We need between 12,000 and 6,000 megawatts on the grid for us to avoid load shedding. And we must also remember that we are going to decommission about 11,000 megawatts according to the Integrated Resource Plan 2019 between now and 2030. Whether we will be able to meet that target in terms of the decommissioning or not, it's a story for another day. Eskom is now making land available to IPPs in the Mpumalanga area, where they've got land, where they've got enough grid capacity. We do have resources elsewhere, like in the Northern Cape and elsewhere, but we don't have grid capacity anymore. The renewable energy development zones are basically full in terms of capacity, and Eskom needs to, and we need to look elsewhere around the country where we have enough grid capacity, where we can bring in new generation capacity. So we expect that in the next 18 to 24 months, new generation capacity will be coming from all over the show. It's not only from government procurement process, which is the REAP program. We also have private generators who are selling directly to customers, to large consumers, and using the Eskom grid to evacuate their power. So some of the IPPs that will be setting up in some of the Eskom land will basically be powering other industries through using the Eskom lines, so to speak. And there is a very straightforward wheeling process that Eskom has established, which is quite encouraging.
Yeah, you're mentioning one of the IPPs and land, and just earlier we saw Eskom signing land lease agreements with a number of independent clean power generators, being the first batch of lease agreements to be signed with private companies of land parcels around Majuba and Tutuka power stations. But that's a much longer process than this 18 months. So are you saying, therefore, from what I'm hearing, that double number you've mentioned of about 12,000 megawatts that would need, that extra would be available in 18 to 24 months in terms of what Eskom is saying in order to end load shedding?
So it's a combination of factors. So we will get some of it from the demand response initiatives once they kick in. They haven't kicked in those initiatives. The Energy Crisis Committee is still busy finalizing the implementation plan from what the president has announced. So we will have some savings from the demand response initiatives, and we will have some generation capacity coming from the public procurement process, the REAP program that government runs. We also, because the government has opened up the space, so to speak, by allowing people, private generators, independent power producers, to produce as much as they can without necessarily having to apply for generation license. We're starting to see some of those projects being registered with NERSA. The last time I checked, they had registered about 1,400 megawatts from IPPs who are taking advantage of that particular space. So the other thing that we need is something to stimulate this market, because the opening up of the market itself does not necessarily help a lot. It helps to a certain extent. The fact that government is not providing guarantees to private generators who are selling to private consumers also need to be dealt with. And it can be dealt with by industries such as the insurance industry, where they can come in and start providing guarantees to those power purchase agreements. And that will then increase the uptake because the risk will be lower from the investment side. And remember, that's because a lot of money is involved. These projects take between 1 billion rand and 2.5 billion rands that needs to be invested. And investors need that kind of guarantee.
Okay, thank you very much for your time and insights as always. Energy analyst Professor Sampson Mamphweli from Stellenbosch.